Hi, Murders. This is Lillian Nguyen, Associate Director in the Office of Career Services. Today, I will be giving a presentation on the topic of applying into graduate school. We hope that this information will be relevant and it will help you as you apply to graduate and professional school. So without further ado, we'll go ahead with the presentation. The main takeaways I want you to go away today is how to research programs, the timeline, the process, some tips and tools in order to help you with your graduate school application, and finally, graduate school visit. Okay. The graduate school application process is pretty straightforward, very similar to how you had applied to undergrad and decided to attend Harvey Mudd. It start with researching the programs. If you have decided to either pursue a master level or PhD level, you probably already have a list of programs that you plan to apply to. Typically, students ask professor in their respective fields for some of the recommendation, or they can do research on their own, referring to lists of top programs. Once you have those, you can go ahead and start putting them on your spreadsheet and start applying to those. Typically, the programs will require the GRE or any special test. We'll go into this in details later, but just to know that you need to take these tests early so that you have the scores to be able to send to the program. Very similar to how you had to send your SAT or ACT when you apply to undergrad level. Also be mindful of some of the exam are being offered online this year due to the pandemic. So taking into consideration of how far you have to plan in advance and send a test score to the individual programs. I would say start a process of asking faculty members or people that you know well for recommendation letter early. Keep them in touch with your process and always follow up to make sure that they have submitted their individual letters of recommendation via online, and follow up with them afterwards to thank them. And ultimately, you need to submit your materials and maybe send in any secondary request if you have the individual program ask you for that. And then hopefully when you apply to multiple places and receive multiple offers, then you can conduct graduate school visit, and hopefully you will end up at the place that you feel like the best fit for you. And the last is not least is, of course, decide which one you want to attend. Okay, so first thing first, we often meet with students, and students have often say, okay, I want to go to graduate school. I always ask, is graduate school for you? Three things to consider when you decide to apply to graduate school. First is career growth. Is graduate school necessary to achieve your career goals, whatever that may be? Will you be able to do your job with just a Bachelor of Science from Harvey Mudd, or do you need additional training and education in order to do whatever that you want to do? Are you interested in a specialized area of study or research? Our students have strong research, and that is probably the first step in deciding to go and to apply and attend graduate school to learn more about a specific field of study. There are financial consideration. Most science or STEM related program are funded through either a fellowship, research, teaching, or graduate studentship. It's not always the case though. Most PhD programs have funding, so you typically get tuition waiver and maybe a small stipend to help with your program, but some master level do not have this, so you may have to have to decide if you want to pursue a master level or PhD level. And last but not least, this has become even more relevant when we are in a pandemic, is your personal well-being. Graduate school is very different from undergrad. One of the things that most different is you are now um, uh, a professional. You are a training professional, but you are um, doing your independent research under the guidance of a professor, or the term they typically use is a PI, which is a primary investigator, but you are on your own, and the level of support oftentimes are not as robust or as available or accessible to you at the undergrad level. So we want you to really consider and learn about your what are the services and accommodation available to you at your grad program. Um, Make sure that when you visit the program to ask about these information. And ultimately, you will be joining a smaller cohort, unlike your cohort at MERT, which is roughly over 200 students. Your cohort at your individual PhD program may be ranged from a handful to about 30 or 40 people. So a very smaller group, but they will definitely give you some support within that. Okay. Okay. So I really want to spend some time to help you understand the difference between college and graduate school. I mentioned a few things earlier is that undergrad and grad school have different level of support and different level of um, um, expectation when it comes to studying and research. Graduate programs often are very research heavy, especially PhD programs. They are considered um, a process when you train on a particular skill set, typically doing research. And you may spend very few hours in classroom with lecture. Most of the time you may be spending in the lab or at your computer. It depends on which study you are going to be engaging. So it's very different from the undergrad level. Your advisor or your PI of your um, professor who will be guiding you through the process are typically known as your boss. And they will be the one who guide you through the process, but they will be also the one who sign your dissertation in order for you to get either a master or PhD level. The independent research that you'll be doing, you will receive some help from the senior student in your lab, in your group, but you most of the time you have to do it on your own. In addition to study and work, there will be other responsibility that people don't think about when they go to graduate or professional school, is that you might have to sign your own lease for an apartment. You have to be in charge of everything from utility bills or housing and things like that, which is very different from your experience at MUD. Um, and the undergraduate program, especially the one at MERT, focus on a lot of holistic education, not just time that you spend in the classroom getting to know your professor and your classmate. There are also other activities outside the classroom to help you, whereas graduate school level you may not have time, or you may not be able to access some of that. So this is something to think about. At the undergrad level, you may have more interaction with faculty, staff, and other students, especially at Harvey Mudd as a small liberal arts institution. Oftentimes, you have lots of opportunities to engage in other things outside of the STEM education. And it's very different from grad level. Again, some of these are very program specific, so I don't want to speak for all of the grad programs, but just keep in mind that these are some of the difference that you may encounter if you attend to a graduate program. So the next topic is to think about how you would research the graduate programs. Um, these are some of the things that I think you should pay attention to. The individual programs, everything from the acceptance rate, do they offer financial aid, do they have The financial aid is interesting to know that most STEM or science PhD level often have funding, either through a fellowship, a TA, or research assistant. And that is often the choice that our mothers choose. Some of these programs may be suggested to you by your professor at Harvey Mudd, but I would also encourage you to really do a bit more research on your own to see which programs would be a good fit for you. Other things to consider include in geographic location. Do you prefer to be in a specific area? Some of our students would prefer to be in the West Coast, so they will look at programs in California or Washington. Some programs are in the East Coast. Of course, they're looking at the New England area. We'll have a lot of great programs out there. Other things to think about is the student body. How big is the institution? Is it a state school? Is it a private research? And think about the cohort. How large is your cohort, and what are some of the accommodation or services available to you? Attrition rate is also important, and most importantly, I in my opinion, coming from a career services viewpoint, is that the alumni outcomes. You want to know for the people who have graduated from that graduate program, either PhD or master level, where are they? Where are they now? Did they decided to remain in academia? Did they pursue opportunities in industry? Or what are some of the other career paths that they have pursued? Okay. So some of the information that you can research more to decide which program to apply to. Definitely the HMC network, our faculty are a great resource for you, and also our alumni. You can also look up where some of your fellow mothers have gone to graduate school. I know that the individual department often keep a list of where the alumni have attended, and you can definitely reach out to them to really see if they have any tips and pointers for you about their individual program. um, Individual program publish their information on their website and admission. Pay attention to specific details about the program. For example, Stanford, I believe Stanford only accept application to one PhD program. So if you apply to multiple programs, you may be, you may need to sort it out with them. So for example, you cannot apply to a mechanical engineering and an electrical engineering program. So you may have to pick and choose that one. But, this is specific information to that specific program, so definitely check with them to make sure. Academic journals is a good place to really see how are the programs rank, and what are they known for. If there are specific field of uh, the science that you looking to get into, then definitely do more research. For example, organic chemistry, which program rank highly in organic chemistry, or which program have a higher ranking in material science, so on and so forth. Those will be good information and good data points for you to gather before you decide to apply to a program. Okay, so in order to help you think broadly about the graduate programs that you may be interested in, I include here the list of programs that our mothers have attended. As you can see, they are top programs, and some, heavily in the New England and West Coast area. So definitely reach out to alumni to learn more about each of these programs. This is a very general list of application materials that can help you think about how you can compile your application materials for your process. Transcript, most programs will accept an official transcript when you apply. They may require an official transcript at the point when you decided to matriculate. So um, they will probably require an official transcript by the time you graduate before you start a program officially, very similar to how you had applied to Harvard Med at the undergrad level. If they require snail mail, you need to um, take into consideration when you need to mail your material to them so that they get it to the time of the deadline. Um, Most application will have a similar to how you apply to undergrad is that a common application, but they may have specific institutional prompts to write about your personal statement or your research idea, things like that. So pay attention to those as well. The exams, these exams are could be general or subject. For example, general GRE or subject GRE if you're applying to say math or chemistry. So take into consideration of how you can prepare for those. Some of the exam can be taken online, especially this year due to the pandemic. They make it even more readily available. Some exam are year round. You can sign up and take it right away, or they have specific dates that they want you to take. So definitely pay attention to the deadlines and the timeline of that. Um, the things that you need to keep in mind and to compile are things such as the letters of recommendation and then personal statement. So for personal statement, you can have a what I would call like a more general personal statement that you can submit along with your common application. And the personal statement need to address your motivation, your academic interest, and your career goal. Why you want to pursue a PhD in, say, computer science. What are you hoping to do with a PhD in computer science? Um, why can't you do the thing that you do with just a BS in computer science, for example? In your essay, you need to be direct, concise, and persuasive. Highlight unique quality and accomplishment. As you know, Harvard Med being a very rigorous program in STEM, you may be competing with your fellow mothers in some of the programs, so you need to highlight things that are unique about you beyond a very wonderful education at Harvard Med. The letters of recommendation, preferably from at least one professor who have taught you at Harvard Med, if not more. Typically, I would suggest to require not to require but to ask a professor who you have done research with to write your a letter of recommendation. Request it in person. Well, probably not this year, but you can request it via email early and in advance, and also send them reminder and thank you. For example, if the application is due December 1st, a few weeks before, say, dear Professor so and so, my application to Stanford due December 1st. Could you, just check in to make sure that you can get your letter of recommendation to them on time, and then follow up with about a week in advance to get that. Okay, the next thing is a very commonly asked question is the difference between a CV and a resume. And this is part of your application material. So what is the difference between a CV and a resume? A resume is very straightforward. I assume that you probably have a resume and have come into our office to have your resume review when you either applying to research or applying to internship. So you know what the resume is. Typically, it's a one page information about yourself at your undergrad level. A CV is longer than a resume, and it's feature beyond just the coursework and things like undergrad research internship. A CV also include things such as your academic credentials, such as teaching or often at Mud is are you being a recruiter, are you being a proctor, if you have attended any conference related to your research area, you can also put it down. If you able to have a publication on author or second author on a paper, definitely put it on there. Any information that would showcase your accomplishment in research and outside research, put it on your CV. And your CV can be longer than one page. Uh, I would also suggest to put any leadership experience on your CV to demonstrate that you are a well-rounded student, and then um, focus and highlight your research experience and what you hope to accomplish. You can also see Harvey Mudd professor CV, for example. Of course, their CV will be a lot longer because they've been at it a lot longer than you, but that would be a good place to start. Okay. Next, we'll talk about the application timeline. This is a very general application timeline. Please do take into consideration that the timeline may be modified due to the pandemic this year, but typically this is the summer before your senior year. You need to register for and take the standardized test, the GRE or the GMAT if you're applying to business school, or any of the professional schools such as the MCAT or the PCAT or any other thing like that. Identify the recommenders for your letters of recommendation, order an official transcript. At this point, your transcript will probably until the end of your junior year, but that's fine. They will probably ask you to send them an official transcript that included your first semester, your senior year, as well as your second semester, senior year. Definitely draft a personal statement. Refer back to the slide about personal statement to learn more about how you can really highlight your accomplishment and talk about how a PhD or a master program would help you achieve your goal. The fall, which is right now, is when you finalize any program selection. This is when you official reach out to your professor and request letters of recommendation. Complete your personal statement, any supplement, essay, spend some time to really think and reflect on the individual prompts that the program had included, and then decide how you want to approach those. Take the standardized test. If you haven't taken the test in the summer, or if you have taken the test but you were not happy with your score, you can retake it again in the fall. This is when you complete the application and submit it online, and make sure that the programs that you're applying to have received it. Either just send a quick email and say, like, just want to make sure that you have received my application officially. Winter and spring, this is a wonderful time as you finishing your last semester at Harvey Mudd, but this is when you would some of the master program actually have a later application deadline than the PhD level. So definitely keep track of those. This is when you complete your FAFSA. There are some financial aid as a graduate level, but not as much at the undergrad level. But you can also apply to FAFSA as a grad level. This is when you research scholarship and grants. Some programs actually offer the department or college level scholarship and grants, and some actually have a separate application in addition to the application to the program. So check with them to make sure. Some will automatically include you in their fellowship or scholarship or grants as you apply to the program, and the way they look at that, they would just compare the student within that application pool and decide who they want to offer the scholarship or grants to. This is the time when you send thank you letters to your recommendation letters writer, and and thank them for spending the time to write a letter and to talk to recommend you. The Once you have heard back from the program, either yes or no, if it's a yes, they will arrange a campus visit. Most likely it will be online visit, and not a physical visit, but definitely arrange with them to make sure that you will not have any conflicts with the other programs. You will also need to update the individual programs about your academic progress. They may request a transcript after the fall semester, and then they request another transcript after the spring semester when you graduated from Harvey Mudd. Okay, so I will spend some time to talk about what graduate admission panel of graduate admission committee evaluates your application. They will spend some time as a committee to talk about your academic strength and interest, anything that can help them understand you more as a candidate, include any relevant experience. Of course, research is important because you are looking to gain more education and training in the specific area. The motivation and reason for you to pursue um, a PhD or master level of their program. They will also evaluate your writing, scientific writing, your research potential, and your maturity. More than that, they also want to know how will you contribute to the grad school, that particular program, your profession, your industry, or the field. Definitely spend some time to share with them your academic goals, while you're in the grad program and beyond. If you want to pursue an academic position after the PhD program, mention that. If you're thinking of joining the industry after that, you can also mention that. So be true, be authentic, and be persuasive. Okay, so now that we finished the program, and then we finished the application, and you receive some offers to be accepted to the program. Congratulations. The next thing we will talk about is grad school visit. If selected for a visit, please plan your travel with that particular department. Um, if if this was like a normal year where you actually had to travel to be there physically, I would suggest to coordinate that with fellow mothers if you happen to apply to the same program. But of course, this fall due to the pandemic, most likely the visit will be virtual. But even that opportunity for you to um, arrange that with them, pay attention to time zone if they have different time zone for you to tune in via Zoom or any other platform. This is an opportunity for you to ask individual professor that you may be interested in working for, also asking to speak with other graduate student in the program. Ask them about the experience, ask about the student services and support, and also ask about opportunities for funding and grants. Oftentimes ask about, for example, if they offer teaching assistantship or research assistantship, what are their requirements, how many classes that you are required to teach, how much time you require to work, and what are specific milestones that you need to reach to get your preliminary or to reach your dissertation level. You also need to can branch out and interact with other senior from other undergrad institution visiting on the same time. So that would be a great place to network, and who knows, they may become your lab mates. They may be the people that you'll be working with next year. I include here some questions to ask the grad program that you'll be visiting. Questions such as, what are some of the academic requirements, the coursework and research, how many courses you need to complete, how do they structure those. Some program only require you to do maybe the first year is just lecture, but starting second year, starting third year, you will not have any lecture and you will just have research. What is the average time to obtain a PhD or a master? And this will be a good information for you to gauge, is it doable for you personally? Can you handle a 5 or 6 year study? And that's something to think about. Alternative career path if not finished. This is important because let's say if the program only have a PhD level and they don't have a master degree, what does that mean? Like, if you have finished 3 years, but they don't have a master level, do you just leave empty-handed? So those are the things that you need to figure out before, deciding if you want to attend. Of course, any fellowship grants or TA, RA, or GA ship to help offset the cost of the program. Information such as graduate housing, health insurance, stipend, those are very important to know. You can also ask a particular faculty member you may be interested in. Ask if they are looking to accept students this upcoming year. As you know, the pandemic had put a lot of strain on the faculty member themselves, so they may not be able to take on new student. If they are willing to take on new student, ask about how that process is like. Is there rotation for you to try out different labs before you make a decision, or will they choose and you have to go to that faculty member? Can I switch research group if I become interested in a different area? Can you switch, say, from material science to electrical engineering, or vice versa? Is that a possibility within that department? Of course, from a career services viewpoint, I want you to learn some information about placement data from the people who graduated from that particular program. How many have gone on to academia or industry, or did they switch field and then do something else altogether? Okay, so we are at the very end of our presentation. After the graduate school visit, these are some of the recommendations we have. Please send a thank you emails to the faculty, staff, and grad student that you've met with. A quick short email is fine. Thank you for taking the time to talk on Zoom with me earlier today. I appreciate the time that you share with me to learn more about the PhD in computer science at Cornell, for example. That is a very okay message to send. You can also connect with the other visitors. And this is, like I said, this is a good opportunity to network and keep in touch with the department for information about fellowship and grants. Do you need to submit something separately, or you would be considered for their selection process? And after the visit, if you feel like you have enough information to make a decision, you can decide to accept and put in your deposit and decide to matriculate next fall, or you can withdraw from the programs that you feel like is not a good fit. If you decide to defer, also let them know. So defer meaning like you are not going to start a PhD program in the next fall, but you want to take it another year off after graduating from to before you start, and that is a very good decision if that's what you choose to do. Okay, so those are all the information I have to share. As always, if you have any question or concern about any of this information, and just applying to graduate or professional school in general, please feel free to make an appointment with one of our staff member at the Office of Career Services on Handshake, and we'll be able to help you every step of the way. Thank you, and have a good day. Bye bye.